which no project is being done like that. There is a project cycle and there is a budget cycle. So we now look at all those parameters, and so that, okay, the money that was to be released for the Mambila counterpart funding will take a certain gestation period. So before we reach that period, we might at least do minus that window that we removed, which is about 1.78%.
Very quickly, is your assembly ready to accommodate a supplementary budget to correct some of those deductions that were made?
Absolutely. When they brought it and we perused it, we'll do due diligence. We've already promised, Mr. President, that we are even asking them to bring the supplementary budget. Let's see and provide the inadequacies.
Director General, we've heard criticisms leveled against the executive for their role in some of the budget confrontation that has occurred from the perspective that the Ministry of National Planning and Budget, led by Mr. Udo Odoma, has essentially been working at odds with some of the ministers, with some of the heads of parastatals as it relates to their budgets, that they bring an estimate and that it's cut from even within the Ministry of National Planning without enough consultation. And so by the time they get to National Assembly, there's a bit of confusion as opposed to what should be added and what shouldn't. What are your thoughts about the budgetary processes within the executive before it gets to National Assembly?
Well, let me say emphatically that the scenario you just painted is very far from the truth. That's not what happens. Okay? In every budget...
Just for clarity, that was the allegation leveled by the honorable member yesterday. Please continue.
That's false.
Okay.
I can say that without any equivocation.
Contradiction.
In every, budget process, you have to, because resources are not limited, you have to have some spending ceilings, some spending limits. Okay? As I said earlier on, for the 2019 budget, we've begun the process by projecting what resources are going to be available. We engage with the revenue generation agencies. We determine what revenues can realistically be generated. We engage with the debt management office, and we determine how much they can reasonably borrow. That puts a ceiling to the expenditure. Then now relate that to the economic recovery and growth plan in this case. We determine the spending priorities, and on the basis of that, limits are set for individual MDAs.
Yes. I'm sorry, on that note, we just have to take a very short break. I'm going to allow you to conclude your thoughts when we come back, Director General. Our viewers, please do stay with us. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily, coming to you live from our Abuja studio. We have two gentlemen, Mr. Ben Akabueze, who is the DG of the Budget Office, and Honorable Yunusa Abubakar, who is the Chairman of the House Committee on FRSC. Director General, you were finishing your thoughts.
Yes, as I was saying, what the Ministry of Budget and National Planning, headed by the Minister, does is set those spending limits for each of the sectors based on the strategic plan. What projects they allocate it to is left to the respective ministers and their team. The only thing we do, and they actually upload the budget onto the system by themselves. The only thing we do is to then review what they've uploaded to ensure that they are in tandem with the strategic goals. For the 14 key agencies that account for nearly 80% of the spending, there's already a medium-term sectoral strategy that identifies the projects, the priority projects that they need to spend on. So it is not true that the Minister of Budget and National Planning cut what they have proposed.
Before we close the segment, let me just get into the 2019 budget quickly. You say preparations are underway. In view of the election, will that offer any complications?
Well, we don't see any from our own side. We've got a job to do.
Honorable Member, what are your thoughts on the 2019 budget? Any complications ahead?
Yeah, the only thing I beseech is that the timing. Delaying it to take it to November, lay the budget in November, and you expect the National Assembly to do it within 30 days especially now that Mr. President has made a pronouncement that he will work in tandem with the National Assembly to see to the realization of the January-December issue. So I would like actually the executive to pay due diligence, because as I'm talking to you now, Section 8.1 has to be amended.
Unfortunately, we have run out of time on this segment. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program this morning and sharing your thoughts with us on this issue of the 2018 and 2019 budgets. Standing by with us have been two gentlemen, Mr. Ben Akabueze, the Director General of the Budget Office, and Honorable Yunusa Abubakar, the Chairman of the House Committee on FRSC. From our Abuja studios, this is where we will close. I wish you a wonderful day ahead. I am Ajuri Ingilale.
And yes, indeed, from Lagos, we hope you have a very good day. I'm Chamberlain Osa.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.